Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. In this video today, we are going to talk about how to deal with Riven counters. Some of the Riven players have trouble playing against champions like Renekton, Jace, and Kennen, and a few others, but we are going to talk about that today. But before we continue with the video, a lot of people have been messaging me that they have been on a losing streak and they always ask, how do I start winning? I always say go to Proguides.com, which has the best videos on getting better at League. They have courses with pro players, they have champion tier list and matchup stat tools, and they have 24/7 challenger coach who you can talk to anytime. And they really work at getting you to a higher division. It's got everything you need to get better at League all in one place. I highly recommend it. Check out the link in the description below. So as for this video today, I'm going to be talking about the things that you can do when playing against Renekton that will make it a lot easier. Besides talking about Renekton, I will also be talking about what you have to do in order to win when playing against champions like Kennen or Jace or any kind of ranged matchup. Anyway, starting with Renekton, so if you got any trouble playing against Renekton, what you can do is to actually go and take Grasp of the Undying in the runes. You can also take Aftershock if you prefer Aftershock instead, but for me personally, if I have a lot of trouble, I always go for Grasp instead. They both work very well, so it's ultimately up to you to decide. In the secondary tree, you still always want to go and take the Inspiration with the free boots and the 5% CDR. And in the bonus stats, you want to go and take 1 point into the offensive stats and then 2 points into armor. So right now, you have got the Grasp, which is going to help you out a lot within the laning phase. You also have 2 armor within the bonus stats, so this already means that you're going to be much harder to beat within the laning phase. Now, if you think that this is not enough to survive the laning phase, you can also start off level 1 with a Dorn Shield, and then you just want to keep on farming up until you get that 800 gold, and then you want to go and buy 2 ruby crystals. Getting those 2 ruby crystals in the early stage of the game is going to give you more health than if you would buy the Kindle gem, and later on you want to finish those items into a black cleaver. So at this point you have got so many defensive stats, you are literally immortal. This setup is not only meant for Renekton, but you can also use this setup for other champions as well. The only problem about this setup is that you're going to lose a little bit of damage because you no longer play with Conqueror. So if you think you can win the matchup or the lane with Conqueror, then I still recommend going for Conqueror instead. So now with the Renekton being covered as well as the other champions that are very similar to Renekton, the next kind of champions that we are going over about right now is Kennen and Jace. So first of all, before we get into this stuff, it's very normal to fall behind in terms of farming because you just got counterpicked by poking champions. Riven is really weak against champions that can poke from a long distance, and they can both poke and stun and everything at the same time, which is really annoying to play against. But anyway, getting into the things right now that will actually make the laning phase a lot easier. First of all, you want to go into the rune page and you want to go and take Conqueror with secondary on resolve into the second wind. The second wind is going to help you survive against a poking matchup, so it's very important to have and it's definitely a must-have when playing against poking matchups. The second thing you want to do is you want to go and take Dorn Shield, obviously. It kind of speaks for itself. You're playing against a poking matchup, so you gotta need something to be able to last a little longer. And then as for the laning phase, you want to sacrifice some of the CS so you can actually survive the laning phase. If you try to manage to get all of the CS, you're gonna get poked out a lot, which will force you back to the base. So you're better just off sacrificing some of the CS so you can actually survive. Staying in lane and just getting the XP is still better than being forced to go back to base and then missing a whole wave of creeps. Just accept the fact that you were just being counterpicked and just try to take the CS that you can. Your momentum to carry the game will definitely come, so don't worry about that. We will go into that right now. The biggest tip that I'm going to give you right now is the most important when playing against ranged matchups. You want to go and save your teleport after you are around 6 to 8 minutes in the game. So the teleport is going to be your playmaker of the game. The teleport is what's going to allow you to get the momentum to snowball in other lane. Don't forget that the top lane is very far away from the mid lane as well as the dragon and the bottom. So your teleport is very valuable and you don't want to go and waste it. Now what if you don't really get that that opportunity to go to the bottom for a gank or go somewhere else with the TP, you've still got some options. The second thing you can do is if you happen to walk back to a lane and you see that the laning phase is just fine right now, Kennen just went back to base to buy his items, one thing you can do is to roam mid lane before you walk back to the top lane. If you are in base buying your items, most people expect you to walk back to the top lane and push your lane first and then roam after. The truth is that most people forget that they can roam mid after they walk back from base. Now what can you do if you don't have the chance to TP for the bottom for a gank and you have also gone to the mid lane and you are not able to gank the mid lane? You have still got two more options. The first option that you have is to just walk back to lane and you try to set up your lane for a gank. So when playing against a Jace or Kennen, they have to push out the lane if they want to go and poke you out. If they don't decide to push their lane, then you will get the option to go and roam around the map. They also won't be able to poke you that hard anymore. However, if they do decide to push out the lane so that they can actually harass you under the tower, that means that their biggest weakness is getting ganked by your jungler. So what you want to go and do is you want to set up the lane in a way that if your jungler decides to go top lane and gank, so that it can be as successful as possible. So there's a couple of things that you can do to make your lane ready for ganks. First of all, every time you go back to base, you always want to make sure you buy either 1 or 2 control wards. This is very important obviously because the jungler will see that there's no ward and it's going to be very easy for him to actually go and gank. The second thing that you have to do when you get ganked by your jungler is to have everything up and ready to go. If you have everything up, it's not really that difficult to go in with your shield and get the stuns ready. There's also a few other factors that you can do to make the lane even more gankable, however they are really advanced and I will go into them later. So now what if you find yourself in this position where your jungler never goes to the top lane to gank your lane? There's still one more option that you have, but this is also one of the least liked options. So the option that I'm talking about is just to go and farm up, get your items and outscale. In the current patch that we are living in today, Riven is one of the best champions for scaling towards the mid and the late game. With the Conqueror, which is currently available for the patch, she is just becoming a monster the longer the game goes. And champions such as Kennen and Jace are very good at lane bullying and they are very good at winning the lane, but after the laning phase, they don't really scale that well as Riven. So if you find yourself in this position where you cannot TP to the bottom because the bottom is not having a good game, or you cannot go mid either because your mid lane is feeding, you still got that last option and that is just to outscale. In some of the games that you play, there's simply nothing that you can do but just wait and wait for the right opportunities. In some of the games that I play myself, sometimes I never really get to use my teleport because I don't really get that opportunity to help my teammates because they already are having a bad game themselves. So it is just better to take the option to farm up and wait for the opportunities because people make mistakes every single day. Every single game that you play, people make mistakes and it is your job to find those mistakes and get yourself up in the game. For example, we are now looking at this game where I play Riven into a Jace and as you guys can see, I have already got 2 kills. The way I got those kills is by simply outplaying the Jace, outsmarting him and getting him caught on his mistakes. If you find yourself in a game where you play Riven against a Jace, the Jace will have a very big advantage on you and it's very likely that you're going to lose against the Jace. But now the thing is, if you do play against a very good Jace one-trick player, the chances of him making mistakes is very low, so it's also very difficult to snowball in the lane. However, if the Jace player is very bad with the champion itself, he's very likely to go and make a lot of mistakes. So the matchup might be very bad for you and it's very likely that you're going to lose, but if the person plays bad with the champion itself, you still have a very big chance of winning the lane. You just gotta be good with your own champion and being able to find the mistakes. So anyway, long story short, I didn't really have to TP to anywhere else in order to snowball. All I had to do was farm within the laning phase and wait for the right opportunities to come. So this was it for the video, guys. I hope you learned something for playing against Renekton and some of the other champions, as well as Cannon and Jace. If you are looking for a high elo Riven main to watch live on stream, make sure you come and check out my stream, guys. Also, if you want to be in a nice and friendly Discord community, make sure you join my Discord server, guys. And I'll see you guys in my next video, man. Peace.